Get on the chopper now! Go! Go!
The red warning lights of the Apache helicopter flashed across the sweltering hangar of FOB Thunder, Iraq. Smoke poured from the engine bay as alarms echoed through the base. Staff Sergeant Kyle Mason, 26 and confident, kicked open the engine door. "Ma'am, this isn't a place for shaky hands. Go home to your grandkids," he shouted. 10 meters away stood May Carter, gray-haired, calm, holding a dusty old tool bag. Around her, 20 engineers and pilots stared in confusion. Why had Master Sergeant Harrison called this trembling woman to handle the biggest technical crisis the base had ever faced? They'd soon find out. In 18 minutes, when the Apache roared back to life, everyone would know why they called her the widow and why she was their last hope. The crisis began 3 hours earlier. Radio chatter reported, "Apache down, LZ Charlie, 15 clicks out." The helicopter had taken enemy fire. Captain Martinez was gravely wounded and needed evacuation within 3 hours, but a sandstorm made ground rescue impossible. Only one Apache could fly, and it was dead on the deck. Master Sergeant Tom Harrison knew who to call. "We need May Carter," he told the base commander. "Who's that?" "Our only shot." Kyle Mason and his team had tried everything. New sensors, new modules, full diagnostics. Nothing worked. Regulations demanded factory-certified parts, but those wouldn't arrive for 3 days. Martinez had hours. Then May walked in, quiet, deliberate, scanning corners like a soldier checking a perimeter. "I'm here to look at your engine problem," she said. Kyle laughed. "Lady, this is an Apache, not some crop duster. You need top-secret clearance to even touch it." Ignoring him, May opened her battered tool bag with precision that caught Sergeant Park's eye. Every motion was practiced, military. Her boots, her knots, even how she held her flashlight, all told a story. "Did Harrison send you?" Park asked. May nodded. "He said you had an engine that wouldn't start." Kyle blocked her path. "You're not touching this bird. We've got our best people on it." "Then your best people missed something," she said calmly. Kyle bristled. "Missed something? I've been on Apaches for 6 years." May didn't argue. She moved past him, crouched by the engine, and pointed. "You opened the cowling wrong." Kyle froze. "You didn't disconnect the battery." "That light," she said, pointing to a small yellow indicator still glowing, "means the system's armed. You could have fried the whole electrical grid." Sergeant Park leaned closer. She was right. Kyle's team had missed something big. "Holy cow," Park muttered. "She's right. The system's still hot." Kyle froze, confidence cracking. "That's just a minor oversight," he said. "The oxygen sensors are dead, that's all." May slipped on her gloves and leaned into the engine bay. Despite the tremor in her hands, her movements were precise. "They're not just dead," she said quietly. "They're counterfeit." The hangar fell silent. Even the hum of the air conditioning seemed to stop. "What did you say?" Wright demanded. May pointed to the small serial number stamped on the oxygen sensor. "This doesn't match the database. It's a Chinese knockoff." Kyle laughed nervously. "That's impossible. All our parts come from official military supply chains." May pulled out a rugged military tablet and entered the serial number. When the result appeared, her face darkened. This part was stolen from a German warehouse 6 months ago, supposed to be destroyed. "Check the backup," she said. Kyle read off the next serial. Same result, stolen. The realization hit them all. The Apache hadn't failed by chance. It had been sabotaged with fake parts. "Who has access to our inventory?" Park whispered. Before anyone could answer, Lieutenant Torres from CID walked in. "Heard something about counterfeit parts," he said. May handed him the tablet. Torres's expression hardened. "We'll need to inspect every component. If someone's swapping parts, this isn't the only aircraft at risk." Kyle's face turned pale. How many helicopters were flying with fake, unsafe parts? How many lives were in danger? Torres turned to May. "How did you know to check?" "I've seen this before," she replied. "What's your background?" Park asked. May didn't look up. "Used to work on Apaches." The hangar went dead quiet. Suddenly, everything about her, the precision, the confidence, made sense. 15 years ago? Wright asked. "The tech's completely different now." May didn't argue. She grabbed a syringe, drained the contaminated sensor, and started wiring a bypass from salvaged copper. "What are you doing?" Kyle asked. "Improvising. The counterfeit sensors feed bad data. I'll simulate the correct signals so the engine starts. That's not in any manual, Wright said. It's a field repair, May replied calmly. Something you learn in combat zones. Park studied her, realization dawning. Ma'am, what unit did you serve with? May hesitated. That's classified. The word sent a chill through the hangar. Classified meant black ops, missions that didn't officially exist. Torres checked his phone. There's no record of a May Carter in military personnel files. May finished the repair and stepped back. You wouldn't find one. Before anyone could respond, Warrant Officer Rodriguez entered. I heard someone's questioning my supply records. Torres handed him the tablet. We found counterfeit parts, Chinese knockoffs with stolen serials. Rodriguez stared at the screen, stunned. That's impossible. Every shipment is verified. Then how do you explain these numbers? Torres asked. Rodriguez shook his head. It has to be a database error. But everyone in that hangar knew it wasn't a mistake. Someone had infiltrated the system. Maybe the parts were reported stolen by mistake, or maybe not. May watched Rodriguez carefully. The way he avoided eye contact, the nervous tremor in his voice, it set off every instinct she had. Maybe we should wait for official replacements, Rodriguez said quickly. I can expedite through proper channels. Captain Martinez doesn't have 48 hours, Park reminded him. He needs evacuation now. Rodriguez looked concerned, but May noticed how every suggestion from him avoided exposing the real problem, the missing parts. What about a bypass repair? Kyle asked, this time speaking with respect. That's not authorized, Rodriguez snapped. Improvised fixes could void the warranty. We need proper procedure. But May had already finished connecting her sensor bypass. The repair's complete, she said calmly. The engine should start now. Wright frowned. Should isn't good enough when it's a $40 million aircraft and a man's life. May pulled off her gloves. I've done this exact repair under combat conditions, she said quietly. It works. When? Torres asked. Where? Her answer was barely a whisper. Iraq. Afghanistan. Places not in the history books. The hangar fell silent. Park studied her face. Calm, steady, battle-tested. Would you supervise the engine start? Park asked. Rodriguez stepped forward again. We should wait for the right parts. The risk to Captain Martinez is greater, May interrupted. She turned to Kyle. Do you trust my repair? Kyle hesitated, then nodded. Yes, ma'am. I do. May climbed into the pilot's seat, moving with a confidence that froze everyone around her. Her hands flew across the controls, precise, experienced. APU start sequence initiated, she said. The auxiliary power unit roared to life. Step by step, she guided the system through startup. The improvised bypass tricked the computer into believing everything was normal. Engine start, she announced. The turbine spun, whining louder until the Apache's engine came fully alive. For the first time in 6 hours, it worked. Every system lit green. The engine was running smoother than ever. Engine start complete, May said. Aircraft ready for flight. She powered down and stepped out, emotionless, as if saving a life was just another day's work. Kyle stared. That was incredible. Ma'am, where did you learn to fly Apaches? Before she could answer, Major Stevens, the base commander, entered. So you're the civilian who fixed our bird, he said, surprised. I have to admit, I was skeptical. The engine's operational, May replied simply. Your pilot can be evacuated. As she packed her tools, Stevens studied her. The discipline, the posture, the quiet authority. Ms. Carter, my team tells me you uncovered counterfeit parts in our supply chain. May nodded toward Torres. He has the evidence. Torres stepped forward. Sir, we've got a serious problem. Defective parts are being swapped at twice the normal rate. The real components? Missing from disposal records. Stevens frowned. Meaning? It's a theft ring, Torres said grimly. Someone's been installing bad parts, then stealing and selling the genuine ones. Rodriguez went pale. Lieutenant, that's a serious accusation. But the truth was already clear. The parts weren't lost by mistake. They were stolen, and May had just uncovered the operation. Torres turned toward Rodriguez, his tone sharp. Warrant Officer, these records show you authorized 73 parts replacements in 6 months, triple the normal rate. Rodriguez stiffened. Sir, I was just maintaining aircraft readiness. When parts failed, I replaced them. I was doing my job. From the corner of the hangar, May Carter paused, watching him with cold precision. Warrant Officer Rodriguez, she said softly. How long have you known me? He blinked, confused. Ma'am, I've never met you before today. May's smile didn't reach her eyes. Interesting. 15 years ago, you were supply sergeant for the 161st Special Operations Aviation Regiment, Black Widow Squadron. The name froze the room. Black Widow Squadron was more myth than memory. Rodriguez's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. May pulled a challenge coin from her pocket, an eagle gripping Apache rotor blades, the motto death from above. Black Widow 3, she said quietly. Chief Warrant Officer May Carter. The only pilot who made it home. Gasps filled the hangar. Kyle stumbled back. Park snapped to attention. Rodriguez bolted, but armed guards appeared, blocking his escape. Warrant Officer Rodriguez, Torres declared. You're under arrest for conspiracy, theft, and endangering U.S. personnel. As the cuffs clicked, May's tablet chimed. She scanned it, then turned to Torres. You'd better widen your investigation. Rodriguez's operation spans 17 bases across 3 theaters. This isn't about stolen parts. It's about compromising American readiness. Stephen stared at her. Chief Carter, you're supposed to be dead. May nodded. That was the official story. Silence. Only the sound of the cuffs and the Apache's idle hum broke it. For the first time, May's hand stopped trembling. Ma'am, Stephen said. We need to talk about your past and what happened to the widows. May slung her tool bag over her shoulder. Sir, Captain Martinez needs evacuation. The Apache's ready. That was my mission. She looked around. At Kyle, Park, Wright, Torres, each now seeing her differently. My mission's always been to protect American soldiers. That hasn't changed. She started to leave, but Stephen called out. We need you here, Chief. This investigation needs your expertise. May paused at the hangar doors. Outside, the storm was clearing. Keep watching, she said. One detail in the maintenance logs will turn this base upside down. Then her satellite phone rang, a tone only Black Widow members knew. Everyone froze. She answered calmly. Black Widow 3. The encrypted voice replied, Vienna package active. Other widows compromised. Recommend immediate extraction. May closed the phone, eyes dark with resolve. Major Stevens, she said. Our conversation's about to get longer than expected. The Apache's engine roared to life. Martinez would live, Rodriguez would face justice, and Torres's report would uncover a web of corruption far beyond their base. But for May Carter, the last survivor of Black Widow Squadron, the real mission was just beginning. Because some wars never end, they just change battlefields. Kyle approached quietly. Ma'am, I owe you an apology. I judged you wrong. May gave a faint smile. Sergeant, protecting your aircraft was the right instinct. Today you learned something new. Tomorrow you'll lead better for it. Park stepped forward. Chief Carter, what really happened to Black Widow Squadron? May looked at the horizon, where the storm was breaking. That, she said softly, is a story for another day. Official reports claim the Black Widow Squadron was disbanded after Desert Storm. But as Chief May Carter spoke, her voice carried the weight of secrets long buried. Her unit had flown missions that officially never happened. Deep reconnaissance, covert extractions, air support in places erased from the map. But the same secrecy that made them effective also made them vulnerable to corruption and betrayal. Commander Stevens listened closely. Chief Carter, he asked, if your squadron was compromised, how does that connect to what we found today? Before May could answer, Lieutenant Torres hurried over, phone in hand. Sir, investigators from 17 bases are reporting the same issue. The stolen parts and fake replacements Rodriguez used here, identical patterns everywhere. Stevens' expression darkened. How bad? Over 300 aircraft compromised, Torres replied. Apaches, Blackhawks, F-16s, C-130s. If those parts failed mid-flight, hundreds could have died. The hangar fell silent. May walked to the Apache helicopter, her hand tracing the engine's surface. This bird's been flying with counterfeit parts for months, she said quietly. One more mission, one more flight, and it could have ended like my squadron. Kyle, humbled, asked, how did you spot the fake parts so fast? Our diagnostics showed nothing. Because I've seen it before, May said. 15 years ago, we lost 2 aircraft the same way. Counterfeit parts, installed by people we trusted, paid by foreign agents. The realization hit everyone at once. This wasn't just corruption. It was sabotage. When asked if Rodriguez was working for foreign intelligence, May shook her head. He was in it for money. But the buyers? They profit when American aircraft fail. Stevens called higher command. The issue was now national security. Meanwhile, May spotted a strange marking on an auxiliary power unit. This came from an Eastern European facility, the same one linked to the Black Hawk crash in Afghanistan. Park frowned. That crash report was classified. I know, May said softly. I recovered the flight recorder myself. Stevens returned. Pentagon investigators want you debriefed immediately. I'll cooperate, May said. On one condition, Captain Martinez gets evacuated now. Moments later, the sound of rotor blades filled the air as a medevac helicopter landed outside. Kyle stepped forward. Chief, will you train my team? The way you detect sabotage, the diagnostics, everything. May studied him. These techniques were born in combat. You ready for that level? Yes, ma'am. Then we start tomorrow. But tonight, we inspect every aircraft on this base. Right? Humbled, finally spoke. I was wrong, Chief. You showed me that sometimes getting the mission done matters more than following the manual. May nodded. Regulations save lives, but so does courage and judgment. Remember that. As the team prepared for the long night ahead, one truth was clear. What started as a local arrest had just uncovered a global threat. Chief Carter stood beside Lieutenant Torres, reviewing the findings. The same troubling patterns were showing up at multiple bases: counterfeit parts, stolen serial numbers, and a web of supply chain manipulation years in the making. May wasn't surprised. This isn't new, she said quietly. The same tactics were used against Black Widow's squadron 15 years ago. Torres hesitated, then asked, if you share what you know from that case, we might uncover how deep this goes. After a long pause, May reached into her worn tool bag and pulled out a folder that shouldn't have existed: classified reports, financial records, and intelligence analysis stamped with heavy restrictions. 15 years ago, she began, Black Widow Squadron was destroyed by corruption and infiltration. The same kind of operation we're seeing now. They exploit trust in our own systems. The hangar fell silent. The soldiers realized they weren't just dealing with stolen parts. They had uncovered a breach that threatened military readiness itself. When Stevens asked her to stay and lead the investigation, May looked around at the faces of soldiers who now saw her not as a civilian, but as an expert, a fighter reborn. I'll stay, she said, until the mission's complete. Outside, the storm had cleared. The sky stretched wide above the desert, and the Apache helicopter that once sat broken now roared back to life. The first victory in a much larger war. In the next 72 hours, FOB Thunder became the center of the biggest corruption probe in decades. Pilots whispered about the ghost of Black Widow, returning to finish a fight that never truly ended. By dawn, Pentagon agents were en route, the kind who never gave names. Torres traced counterfeit parts to a facility in Eastern Europe, financed by shell companies tied to foreign intelligence. The corruption ran deeper than anyone imagined. Then came the call from Washington. May Carter was to be reinstated, full rank, back pay, in command of a new task force against supply chain sabotage. She hesitated. Before I accept, she said, I need to know what really happened to Black Widow Squadron. Before Stevens could answer, her encrypted phone buzzed, the same signal used by her old unit. The voice on the other end was urgent. The ghosts of Black Widow were reaching out again, and May Carter realized the mission wasn't over. It was only beginning. May stepped away from the group to answer her phone. The voice was disguised, but the message chilled her. Black Widow 3, this is 7. Operation Clean Sweep is compromised. Widows are being targeted. Your cover's blown. May froze. Black Widow 7 was supposed to be dead. 15 years ago, their entire squadron had been wiped out. If he was alive, then everything she believed about that mission was a lie. She tried to respond, but the line went dead. Her gut told her the investigation she'd joined had stirred something dangerous. Back at the hangar, she turned to Major Stevens. Who's coming from the Pentagon tomorrow? Representatives from the DIA, CID, and the Special Access Program Review Board, he replied. May's face went pale. That board only appeared when top-secret operations were exposed. Someone in Washington thought the Black Widow incident was tied to the corruption case. Before she could explain, alarms blared across FOB Thunder. Multiple aircraft inbound, low and fast. Stevens activated base defense, but the flight pattern wasn't right. "Those helicopters aren't broadcasting ID codes," he shouted. May's instincts took over. "Everyone move. Get away from the flight line, now." Moments later, explosions ripped through the base. The attackers weren't rescuers. They were here to erase evidence. May ran for the Apache she'd repaired days earlier. "Sergeant Mason, pre-flight checklist. Kyle, park on me." Within seconds, the engines roared to life. "Chief Carter," Stevens yelled, "you're not authorized for combat." May's voice was cold, steady. "With respect, sir, Black Widow Squadron doesn't wait for authorization." The Apache lifted off, cutting through smoke and fire. In the sky, for hostile helicopters closed in, but they hadn't counted on facing a Black Widow pilot. The battle that followed lasted 15 minutes. One by one, May destroyed the enemy with ruthless precision, every missile, every burst of gunfire, flawless. When the final helicopter fell, silence returned to the desert. She landed smoothly as emergency crews rushed out. Stevens approached, stunned. "Chief Carter, I think we're past calling you a civilian." May removed her helmet, eyes hard. "Then it's time we talk about Black Widow Squadron." Before he could answer, new helicopters arrived, this time friendly. From one stepped Colonel Bradley, a ghost from her past. "Chief Warrant Officer Carter," he said quietly, "we need to talk." May's voice sharpened. "Last time someone from your agency said that, my entire squadron disappeared." Bradley nodded grimly. "They didn't die because of mission failure. They were silenced. You uncovered a corruption ring that reached the highest levels of command. And now, they know you're alive." For 15 years, Colonel May Carter believed her squadron's destruction was caused by a tactical failure. But now, she learned the truth. It wasn't an accident. They were silenced because they got too close to exposing a corruption network selling counterfeit parts to foreign intelligence. Bradley's voice was steady. "Ma'am, Black Widow Squadron was eliminated because they uncovered the truth. The attack that destroyed your team was an assassination." Kyle asked the question everyone feared. "Then how did Chief Carter survive?" Bradley's answer cut deep. "Because she fought her way out. She was the only one skilled enough to make it." May's hands trembled as memories of that night came flooding back, flames, dying voices, and the silence that followed. "What happened to those responsible?" she asked. Bradley met her eyes. "Some still work in procurement. Some joined foreign agencies. And some just tried to kill you again, 40 minutes ago." The realization hit her hard. The recent attack wasn't random. It was meant to finish the job from 15 years ago. Stevens, the base commander, stepped forward. "What happens now?" Bradley replied. "We're reinstating Chief Carter, promoting her to lieutenant colonel. She'll lead a new task force to root out this corruption." May looked at her team, Kyle, Torres, and the others who had risked everything beside her. "Then they come with me," she said firmly. Bradley nodded. "Agreed." Lifting her old challenge coin, May demanded one more thing. "And I want every classified file on Black Widow Squadron. No secrets, no redactions." Bradley nodded. "The cover-up ends today." As the sun set over the desert, investigators filled the hangar. The corruption network was exposed, Rodriguez was in custody, and the base attack had proven everything. But just then, her satellite phone rang. "Black Widow 3, this is Black Widow 1. We need to meet in Vienna tomorrow." May froze. Black Widow 1, the commander she thought had died 15 years ago. Could it be real? Studying her challenge coin, she noticed a small marking, an encrypted signal receiver. It wasn't just a keepsake. It was a link, a message. Maybe her squad mates were still alive. Her heart pounded with hope and fury. She had mourned them for years. Now, she realized her grief was built on a lie. May stepped out of the hangar, gazing across the desert where she had fought to survive. Tomorrow, she would meet the ghosts of her past and begin a mission to protect the future. As she lifted her flight helmet and tool bag, she whispered, "Real warriors serve twice, in war and in peace." But some wars never end. They just change battlefields. Behind her, the Apache helicopter roared to life, rebuilt not by the book, but by will, skill, and purpose. Colonel May Carter walked into the night, carrying a truth too powerful to silence and a mission too important to abandon. Because freedom's real defenders don't fade into history. They live on in those who refuse to give up. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. More untold missions await you, right here on Black Nation Strength Channel.